to week 3 of leadership module. In the last session, we explored values, communication, and in today's session, we will be focusing on classical leadership theories, focusing on theories and how they're shaped, and some modern understanding of leadership. Focusing on the learning outcome, we are focusing on learning outcome 1, where we will be comparing and contrasting different range of leadership theories and how they can be applied in practice in different settings as well as situations. So moving to trait theory, this is one of the early idea of leadership studies, and it was developed by the great man theory. So Thomas Curley back in 1800s argued that the history of the world is but the biology of great men. So this theory suggests that leaders are born and they are not made, and they possess initiative qualities like charismatic, intelligence, confidence, and that kind of set them apart. So if you look, for example, the historical figures like Winston Churchill or Napoleon, they were seen as natural leaders who rose to power through their inheritance and greatness. So if you explore more on the great man's theory, it is argued that leaders are born and they're not made, and they possess certain traits and characteristics, whereas major criticism focuses on being more important in terms of being an effective leader. They are considered to be more of a masculine trait. And if we summarize this theory kind of gives us rise to the early research effort on the trait theory of leadership. So if you look into trait-based theories, the development of it is in the 20th centuries, and a researcher began to ask, like, what specific traits makes a good leader? And they focus on personality, characteristics, and that distinguishes from their. While we could also agree on a single list, so this study is kind of laid ground of understanding for leadership as a combination of personal attributes, not just destiny. So in terms of understanding the trait theory, assumptions of it are on leadership effectiveness, the existence of its continuum. So you can have more or less of these traits, and they are partly biological. They can also be shaped by experiences. And the underlying belief in this leadership is linked to who you are rather than what you do. And modern research also suggests both traits and behavior matter. In terms of understanding the theory of its common leadership style, it is based on the factor of physical as well as the demographic traits. So early studies focus on more visible characteristics, for example, like height, experiences, appearance, and the stamina that you have. So taller or more confident-looking individuals were often perceived as natural leaders, though we now recognize that these are all stereotypes. And leaders, they don't tend to show high energy or endurance, but more of physical appearance alone. Ability. If you look into personality trait, and this is being extra. It can also be open as well as calm under pressure and openness to experience as well, being creative and adaptable. It also focuses on agreeableness of the leaders as well, to a moderate level. For example, if you look into Orphan Winfrey, which shows that extroversions, empathy, and openness, these are all traits that strengthen influence. If you look into the third point of intelligence and cognitive abilities, so these are more about high intelligence and emotional intelligence as well. And they understand both the problems as well as the people associated. In terms of social and communication skill, persuasion, in terms of teamwork and relationship building, matters a lot. In terms of motivational trait, a drive to achieve or also recover from challenge plays a vital role. Think someone like Nelson Mandela. She's intelligent, emotionally stable, persuasive, as well as an incredibly resilient person. But these theories also have certain development or areas that they need to focus kind of more on. It's the theory that is being developed by Ralph Stockdale. So the challenges include some of the ideas that are of universal traits, and this approach some challenges as well, and those are questioned at a variety level of versatility of leadership traits. And this also focuses on leadership traits where the leader in one situation might not be a leader in another situation. And both personality and situation factors were determinant in terms of leadership. Some traits that leads to new approach. So this is two influential researchers studied, and they came up with a new approach to leadership research and focuses on leadership skills, certain leadership behaviors, as well as leadership situation, also which is known as contingency. So this focuses more on what leaders do and how they adapt to different situations. If you look into some examples of leadership traits, it would be a summary of commonly observed leadership traits that we see around. It can be ambitious and how initiative they are. It's the honesty, integrity, self-confidence, as well as the emotional maturity, creativity, as well as problem solving. So commitment to equality and inclusion as well. So these traits often appear in leadership selection process. And like, for instance, many organizations may use personality assessment when they're recruiting for management roles. If you into the continuation of it, the influence, it definitely has, and it does not account for how traits are developed or how context actually shape the leadership. So twin studies suggested the relationship about like 30% being genetic, whereas 70% come from environment as well as the experience. So while personality matters, effective leadership is also learned through the challenges, the mentoring, as well as reflecting on them. If you look into the B5 factor model, which is also known as the ocean model, O stands for openness, where you freedom to be creative and being curious. C stands for conscientiousness, where you look into organization as well as the reliability of it. E stands for extroversions, which is your social ability as well as your assertiveness. Agreeableness is about your cooperation and your trust, whereas newcentrism focuses on emotional stability, making sure that high openness and consciousness often correlated with successful leadership performance. If we look into the model that Myers came up with as an indicator, so E stands for extroverts, or I stands for introverts. So how you can gain from their energy, whereas S stands for sensors, whereas N stands for institutions. So this is how you gather the information from them. And this one is about thinking and feeling. And so you can take a free version test online, and it might not be perfect, but it's a self-assessment tool. If you look at the challenges of authority, we close concept that is tied closely to leadership trait. It was researched by French and Raven, and identified these 6 types of power. The first one is the legitimate power, which is based on position. The next is reward power, based on your ability to offer incentives. The third one is coercive power, so which is your ability to punish or withhold rewards. The fourth one is expert power. This is based on your knowledge as well as your skill sets. The fifth one is the referent power. So this is based on your charisma as well as your respect. The very last one is informational power. So this is control over your valuable information. So great leader uses these powers ethically and collaboratively, not in a manipulative way. Thank you for listening. This brings towards the session. If you have any concerns or if you want to reflect on any point, feel free to get in touch. Thank you.